Right, welcome to graphing and writing equations in the standard form. You just went over how to graph and write equations in slope-intercept form, so now we're going to look at another way to do it, which we're going to call standard form. So the first question is, what is standard form? Well, here it is. It's ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are integers. If you recall, integers are all numbers that are positive or negative. So, no fractions or decimals. We cannot have any fractions or decimals whenever we are in standard form. We want everything to be precisely an integer. So, let's see, is it in standard form? So we're going to check to see, do we have that ax plus by equals c? As well as, do we have everything as an integer? So if we look at the first one over here on the left, we see we have 5 over 2x plus 4y equals 2. Well, we have our ax and our by and our c. Those are all in the right spot, but our issue is right here with this 5 over 2. We have a fraction. So we need to get rid of that fraction. So if you recall from earlier lessons, we know that if we want to get rid of that fraction, we're going to have to do some multiplication. So I have 5 over 2. What can I multiply that 5 over 2 by to get rid of the 2? Well, 2. But we can't just multiply the 5 over 2. We have to multiply the entire equation by 2. And what you get is something that looks a little bit like the distributive property. So 5 over 2x times 2 is just 5x. 2 times 4y is 8y. 2 times 2 is 4. So now we have a nice equation in standard form. We look over here on the right. We have 1/3 x equals 2y plus 1. Right away we notice that we don't have that ax plus by. We have ax equals by, so that's a problem. We also have a fraction, and we don't want that fraction. Now, if you want, you can move the 2y first and then multiply, or you can multiply and then move wherever you get from that y. I'm going to multiply first just because I find that to be easier. And I have a 1 over 3, so to get rid of that 3, I got to multiply by 3. Multiply everything by 3. So that gives me x equals 6y plus 3. Now I want to move that 6y. So we get x minus 6y equals 3. Please note that I did keep it in that order of ax plus by. So let's talk about graphing. Whenever we graph in standard form, we find what's called the xy intercepts. Now, an x-intercept is where it crosses the x-axis, it meaning our line on our graph. The y-intercept is where that graph crosses the y-axis. So, on a graph, we have our x-axis, and then we have our y-axis. Now, as you see on the left, we see that the x-intercept is at x, 0. That's very important, because if we look at our x-axis, we look at this red line here, how far up do we go ever, or how far down? We don't. We stay right on it. So that means that our y is 0. The same idea works whenever we're looking at that y-axis. We never go left or right, so we always have a 0 value for our x. And that helps us when it comes to the equation, because that means if I'm trying to find this x-intercept, I already know what y is. And if I see a y, I can substitute in 0 in for that variable. Just like with the y-intercept, if I see that x, I can substitute in 0 because I know that no matter what on my y-intercept, my x will be 0. So let's do that. So we have two examples. First one here on the left, x plus 2y equals 6. So I want to find the x-intercept. I want to find where it crosses the x-axis, and I know that y is 0. So that means in this equation, anywhere I see a y, I can plug in 0. What that does is you see 2 times 0 is just 0. So that gets rid of my entire y value. So I'm left with this x equals 6. So I know that the coordinate for my x-intercept is 6, 0. My y-intercept, I know that anywhere there's an x, I'm going to plug in 0, plus 2y equals 6. That 0 goes bye-bye, and we get y equals 3. So we know that our y-intercept value is 0, 3. Now all we have to do is plot these 2 points on the coordinate plane. So here's 0, 3. Here's 6, 0. We connect our dots with a line. And we're done. That's it. Bet that seemed a little bit easier than slope-intercept form till we get over here. You see, this is something that looks like it kind of is in slope-intercept form, but we don't want it there. We want it in standard form to graph using xy intercepts. So we need to make it look like standard form. So first thing we got to do, get that x and y on the same side of the equal sign. So we're going to subtract 2x. Negative 2x plus 4y equals negative 8. And then it's the same idea as we did before. We're going to find the x-intercept. So we get negative 2x plus 4 times 0 equals negative 8. Negative 2x equals negative 8. So x equals 4. So that intercept is 4, 0. Y-intercept, negative 2 times 0 plus 4y equals negative 8. 4y equals negative 8. So y equals negative 2. And we get 0, negative 2. We just get to plot those on our coordinate plane. So 4, 0. 0, negative 2, connect your dots with that line, and you have your graph. Okay, now here's an example problem for you to try. So go ahead and pause the video and try this problem now. And here's the answer to that. Go ahead and pause the video again, check your work with my work, make sure I didn't do something wrong. And after you've done that, we're going to now look at writing in standard form. So, writing in standard form isn't all that difficult. What you're going to do is you're going to put it in slope-intercept form, which you've already done. And then all we're going to do is what we did at the beginning of the video, where we move our x, y, or our number. We may have to multiply a little bit so that it looks like what we know standard form should be. So, nothing new. We're just combining multiple steps. So here's 2 examples that I'm going to do with you. On the left we have the point 2, 3 with the slope equal to 1/2. So the point 2, 3 is on the line, and we know that 1/2 is our slope. So we have to first write it in slope-intercept form. So if you recall, that's y equals mx plus b. We already know what our slope is, that's 1/2. Now to find b, we have to plug in those points. So y is 3 equal to 1/2 times 2 plus b. 3 equals 1 plus b. So b equals 2, giving us y equals 1/2 x plus 2. So we look at this and we go, okay, I have 2 problems. Problem 1, it says y equals, there's no ax there. we also see that there's a fraction. So I like to get rid of the fraction first. So it's 1/2, so we multiply by 2. So 2y equals x plus 4. Now we get to move that x. So negative x plus 2y equals 4. There we go. Over here on the right, we have a problem where we don't have our slope. We have to find our slope. So we have to remember that m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Here's our x1, y1, x2, y2. Fill in the blanks. So 4 minus 5 over 1 minus 3. That gives us negative 1 over negative 2, which is just 1/2. So we get y equals 1/2 x plus b. And we get to pick and choose. What do we want to use for our x and our y? Well, looking at that fraction, I see that it's 1/2. And I'm going, do I want to multiply that 1/2 by this 3 or the 1? And I'm going to say I want to multiply it by 1. So I'm going to use the x2, y2. So we get 4 equals 1/2 times 1 plus b. So 4 equals 1/2 plus b. We get to subtract by 1/2. And you remember from our fractions, we need to turn that 4 into an improper fraction. So we get 8 over 2 minus 1/2. So b equals 7 over 2, which isn't too bad. So we get y equals 1/2 x plus 7 over 2. And again, we need to put this in standard form. We have some issues. We have our ax on the wrong side. We also have a couple fractions. Luckily, they both have 2 in the denominator. So we multiply it by 2. We know it'll get rid of it. So we get 2y equals x plus 7. Put that x in its place. So we get negative x plus 2y equals 7. Alright, and finally, we have 2 examples for you to try, similar to what we just did. So go ahead and pause the video now and try these. Alright, here are the answers. Go ahead and check my work with yours. You'll also notice that on the right side you got to again choose. Do you want to use the x1, y1 or x2, y2? Regardless of which one you use, you should have got the same answer that I did. If you didn't, one of us made a mistake. So once you check that, you're done with this video.